young people who don't have a stable home life are vulnerable to trafficking. Homeless and runaway youth are especially at risk. And so are kids who are in the child welfare system or foster care. Ashley Sacho became a foster kid after her mother died when she was 9. She was trafficked while she was in government care.
What were the ages that this was happening to you?
About 11, 12, like around that age. I know I stopped at like 16.
Do you remember the first time you were introduced to, like, kind of explicitly to the concept of selling sex?
I remember it was the neighbor, Ashley, and doing that, I really don't like talk.
You don't
during
have to
that time, it was difficult, and it was just like, she would always be like, well, closed legs don't get fed, closed legs don't be fed. I never knew nothing about human trafficking. I never knew that I was being exploited. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, this is what's happening to me. It's something that I thought was normal. It was something that went on in my family. It was something that it was just like what it was. It's not until you realize like, oh, okay, other people don't live like this. And literally, it's not until you out of that box, because if you grew up in foster care and you grew up around certain things, this is not a nightmare. This is your life.
So can you tell me a little bit about your experience just kind of dealing with the government care system?
I think the government care system is broken. And I think that there's a lot of situations where it's like we as, children that's in the foster care system, we don't know where we're supposed to be either. It's like literally you don't know what home, you don't know where you're supposed to be. Okay, I was here last, but then when I went back there, she told me she don't have me no more. So it's like, okay, do I go to the social worker and turn myself in? Because if you run away from your foster home or you run away from anything, you are considered a runaway youth, which you can get arrested for.
Right.
And my social worker switched so many times, so no one knew who case it belonged to.
Do you know how many times it switched?
Probably like 5 to 6 times, I don't know. Because every time I thought that a certain lady was my social worker, and they was like, no, this person your social worker, no, this person your social worker, no, this person, because it's just too many cases.
Do you feel like kids in the system are easier targets for people who are trying to exploit them?
Yeah. I think any kid is an easy target that don't know how to love themselves or wasn't provided with love and care.
The entire point of foster care is that it's supposed to take care of children who need help. But right now, the system is failing a lot of kids. According to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, 88% of their cases of likely child sex trafficking involved a child who was in the care of social services when they went missing. And other professions that are supposed to help are also failing victims of trafficking.
Come in.
Hello.
Hi.
I'm Letitia, student doctor, first year. Here's your picture. How are you?
Okay.
Okay. So just burning and itching. Have you had sex?
Across the country, scenes like this play out all of the time. Up to 88% of trafficking victims saw a medical professional while they were being exploited. But doctors are missing the signs.
So, anything else you want to talk about, or?
What?
She's stuck.
For the record, this is not a real patient. This is an actor playing a victim of human trafficking. It's part of a training for medical students at the University of Louisville. Dr. Olivia Middle started these trainings after an experience where she believes she missed the signs of sex trafficking.
I discharged her home, but it was mostly because she was that distant type patient that didn't really want to communicate with me, didn't want to ask questions, didn't want me to really talk to her at all. And so I thought of her more as just a bad kid, and for lack of a better word. I just thought that she wasn't going to listen to me. I don't know what she's been through. I don't know the type of life that she has. And so for that reason, she's not going to listen to me. And so that was my take on it, wrongly so.
Trainings like Dr. Middle's are happening across the country. They're being led by doctors who believe in combating human trafficking from a public health perspective. Dr. Hani Stiklosa is the executive director of a network of healthcare providers who are focused on combating trafficking.
What we're saying is we need to change societal norms so that we're preventing trafficking. We're saying that we need to strengthen families so that children from broken homes don't end up being exploited by traffickers. When we're training healthcare providers about trafficking, it's not just about, hey, trafficking's happening, hey, these are the vulnerable populations, but it's about opening their hearts and minds to question their own unconscious biases with patients. But then there are definitely particular populations where I know that they're more likely to be trafficked, and I will take a closer look and ask more questions for those patients. So, for example, for patients that are using substances like heroin, like meth, these are patients that are at super risk for being trafficked. We see that traffickers will actually go to methadone or Suboxone clinics and recruit directly from detox centers.
Addiction to heroin and other drugs often comes into play for victims of sex trafficking. In Boston, an organization called My Life, My Choice provides mentors like Ann Wilkinson to help exploited youth transition from victim to survivor.
Drugs played a major part of my exploitation, as I think it does with girls. I had to use drugs to medicate and sedate myself for what was going on. I have never, the entire time that I was I was high. I was never not high when I was when I had to turn a date. I see a lot more youth being exploited, and I see them sort of thinking or kind of perceiving it as exploiting themselves, but having to work to feed their addiction. You know what I mean? To supply drugs for themselves or even for their pimp.
What are some of the situations that you've seen?
I've seen girls, I have one girl in particular who is still struggling with heroin addiction, and she was introduced to heroin by her pimp. And he would, shoot her up and keep her kind of in a daze so that she could work. And now she has a full-blown heroin addiction and is struggling to get clean. I think that a lot of girls, the substance abuse goes hand in hand because of the trauma that you experience. I've had a gun to my head. I've been beaten by John or robbed or all of that. And so that's what you encounter. It's not just your pimp. You don't know what you're going to get on the other side of that door when you go in that room. I got clean at 30. I'm an adult. And so it was a little bit different for me because I was a little more mature. And so I have to always remember that these are children. So if you're 15 years old and you've got a heroin addiction, that's heavy.
Attorney General Bashir told me about a local survivor and activist who runs a safe house for people trying to get out of the life of sex trafficking.
Just wonderful. Well, of course, this is a safe place for victims of human trafficking. We show a lot of compassion, a lot of love, and of course, I am a survivor, so that make it extra.
Are all the girls who come through here out of the life, or some of them still in transition?
All of them. Most of the girls come straight off the streets. Even if she gets free, we still have to deal with that chemical dependency because she could be free, but if she's still suffering from addiction, all it's going to do is push her back to the street. Just come here is a major accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we real define it. When we get free, we think everybody's just trying to attack us or hurt us in some kind of form that, they really don't care. So I think, they really don't care about us. It's like it's so real. Everybody just think this just we just run around, just want our bodies to be sold, but they don't know the underground world. When everybody be asleep at night, what we go through from like 12 to midnight to 6 in the morning. That's when the real stuff be happening. You know, everybody be asleep. It's like The Walking Dead out there. It's like The Walking Dead.
What are things people should be looking for?
I think people need to be looking for, one of my biggest things that I had a problem with, when people went to work, they see me on that corner when they went to work. They see me on that corner when they got off of work. And they see me on that same corner for 3 or 4 days. Something is wrong. And nobody's never stopped and asked. So that it's very important that our lives matters too. And we're not bad people. We just got in a bad situation.